Mar. Gimel Amud Aleph. You see that? It's on the top of the page, and it's 6 lines down. Amar Mar. Amar Mar. What does Amar Mar mean? Master son. So Mar is like the English Mister. M-R. Which is shortened for master, right? Master says. Now that means that we're quoting a Brisa from before. We're going to re-examine a Brisa. The Brisa before made a difference between a sacrifice of a non-Jew and the sacrifice of a Jew. So we read it like this: Kadshev de Kechavim, the sacrifices of a non-Jew, Leinanin v'leimayalin. You're not allowed to have personal benefit from those animals, but if you do, there's no me'ilah there. No me'ilah means that you don't have to bring the sacrifice of someone that committed the sin of having personal benefit from something that's hektish. That sin is called me'ilah. You don't bring that sacrifice. You're not allowed to, but if you do, you don't bring the sacrifice. Leinanin, you're not allowed to have benefit midrabanan. That's rabbinical. Leimayalin midaraisa, but there's no me'ilah minatayra. Taisus asks that the Taisus on the top says, how do you know it's the Rabbanan? Maybe it's a deraisa and there's still no me'ilah. We find by other things that there's no me'ilah, by other deraisas, by shlamim. He says that we have other sources for it. We have other reasons to say that it's the Rabbanan. My timer. What's the reason why there's no me'ilah by a sacrifice that's donated, or that's consecrated, made holy by a non-Jew? It says like this. We're going to go through some psukim here explaining how we have what the sources are for these halachas. The ksiv, as it says in the pasuk, nefesh kisimol mal v'chata b'shgaga. When a soul will commit the sin and will sin unintentionally, that's by me'ilah. V'alfinan chet mitruma. And we learn, it says over there, v'chata b'shgaga, and it says by truma, which is what we give to the kohen from the crops. It says this word chet. And then by truma, u'betruma ksiv, b'nei Yisrael v'layev de kechavim, it says the word b'nei Yisrael, and from that we learn that a Jew takes truma, but not a non-Jew. So it works like this. The laws of me'ilah are only by a Jew, not by a non-Jew. Where do we get that from? We get it from truma, because over there it says clearly truma is by a Jew. Chet, that verbal analogy, that Gzeir Shava, takes me back to me'ilah, and then by me'ilah, that sacrifice that a carbon designated, there's no that a non-Jew designated, there's no me'ilah there. Sometimes there's something missing here. Okay. The next case of the Brisa. I don't know if in your new Gemaras they have, is it clear that it's a new case? No. It just continues on, right? Really, it's a new word. It's the next word. It's the next clause of the Brisa is being explained. And you're not chayav on the sacrifice of a non-Jew. For the laws of pigel. Pigel is if the kohen has the wrong thoughts while he's bringing the sacrifice. He has thoughts of sprinkling the blood after the time that he's allowed to. Noisar, if the food is left over. I should point out that the carbon is puzzle. It's just the laws of pigel that if someone eats that sacrifice, there's karis, that doesn't apply to a non-Jew. Noisar is if it's left over, Ibr Gablivina, right? It's left over too long, too many days, one day or 2 days, depending on the sacrifice. Vitame, or if it became impure. So all of those laws that would apply to a regular carbon, that doesn't apply to a non-Jew's carbon. The ksiv ba b'tumah, it says regarding tumah, dabel aron velbanav yinazim mikacha b'nei Yisrael v'leichalu es shem kachi. Speak to the Aaron and his sons, and they should separate themselves from the sanctified of the Jewish people, and they should not profane my holy name. That means if they're impure, they shouldn't come in contact with the sacrifice. That's what it says by tumah. B'yalef, and who does it say over there? B'nei Yisrael. Very good. B'yalef noisar chil mituma. Now it says the word by chilol by tuma, it says by noisar Also, that same verb, that you shouldn't make profane. Nicer is the carbon that's left over. The ksiv gabi tuma b'nei Yisrael v'leyechalu. Ksiv gabi nicer v'ichlav avayne yisa kieskedes shem chilal. It says that verb chilal, right? That so it's called a gezerah shava. The term gezerah means to enunciate. The gazer means to cut, but the saying of the word is like chopping. It's like gazer is to cut. So gezerah shava has the same word. How else do you want to translate it?
The same word.
There could be other ways of translating it. That's the way I translate it. Yalef pigol avain minaisar, and so we know by naisar there's a gezerah shava to tuma. We know by pigol there's a gezerah shava now to naisar. The ksiv gabi pigol vanefshay chelas avayne tisa. Ksiv gabi naisar va'ichlav avayne yisa. People carry a sin. That means he's guilty. Carry the sin means guilty. Kieske de shem chilal. V'kulu b'nei Yisrael v'leiv d'kechavim. All of them, it's the Jewish people and not non-Jews. So if the non-Jew designates a sacrifice, which he's allowed to, but there are special laws that would only apply to a Jewish sacrifice, not to a non-Jewish sacrifice. Now we continue in the Bais. Next case, it says Veinais in Temurah, that a non-Jew sacrifice cannot be turned into Temurah. You can't go from. You can't say that this sacrifice here should be exchanged for another one, and the second one becomes holy.
Did we say that the non-Jew can do smicha on the cow?
Oh, did we say that he does smicha? I don't remember that. We said some people don't do smicha. We said, a non-Jew does not do the smicha. That we said.
So then how can he have a cow to switch from his own?
Well, he could still designate a sacrifice. We learned before that the non-Jew, we know definitely the non-Jew doesn't do smicha. The question was does a Jew do smicha for the non-Jew? That was our Gemara. And that we also said no. So karbanai v'lei karbanai v'chachavim. Now we say that his sacrifice cannot be turned into another sacrifice, cannot be exchanged for another sacrifice. The ksiv leyachlifena v'layamer. Don't exchange it. Don't exchange it. I'm not sure what the difference. Uksiv b'reish inyan, and it says at the beginning, Daber el b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the Jewish people. It says Ishki Yafni Neder Be'erkacha. Missing something here. Which says if a man will take a vow of Erechin, so it says B'nei Yisrael, that only a Jewish person. That's at the beginning of the topic. Lishnachrina, there's another pshat. Veinais in Temurah. How do we know that you can't do Temurah? That a non-Jewish sacrifice is not exchanged for Temurah. It says my time the iskash Temurah behema lemaiser behema. We're exchanging one animal for another animal. We're going to compare that to maiser behema. Maiser behema lemaiser dagan. And now we're going to compare maiser behema to maiser dagan. Now we know that there's a comparison there because it says aser to aser. Two maisers. One is maiser behema, one is maiser dagan. V'gabi maiser dagan, when it says by maiser of dagan, dagan means grain. Right? Over there it says ki es maiser b'nei Yisrael asher yirim ala Hashem b'nei Yisrael v'leiv t'kechavim. So by maiser dagan it says only the Jewish people. We're going to learn maiser dagan to maiser behema. Maiser behema is the 10th animal that walks through. It says only for a Jewish person. And then we're going to learn from there to Temurah, because that's an animal. That's going to be a comparison Temurah's behema to maiser behema.
So it sounds like there's multiple sources.
Well, we have two possibilities. Either it's because it starts with Erechin, or it's because there's like three comparisons, three steps. Okay, so from here we know that a non-Jewish sacrifice that's designated by a non-Jew cannot be turned into Temurah. Yesterday we went through this Gemara with the question of Rami Bar Chama, and ultimately in the end of the Gemara we learned that it was not if the non-Jew can do the Temurah, but if the non-Jewish sacrifice can be turned into Temurah, and we said that it can't. We said we had a we said that it can't unless we had a question if a non-Jew separates a sacrifice for a Jew. That was Rami Bar Chama's question. That was yesterday. Now we're saying that a total non-Jewish sacrifice cannot become Temurah. Ve'in mevi'in nesachim. There's a question over here. It says Aleim. They don't bring nesachim. Aval karbanei tar nesachim. Divrei Reb Shimon. However, the sacrifice does require nesachim. So who would bring it? There's two pshatim here. How this works. We mentioned this yesterday. Yesterday we learned it. One pshat was that they don't bring nesachim at all, and so the community brings it for them. The other pshat is that they can't bring their nesachim on a different day than their sacrifice. However, a Jewish person can bring the nesachim is the wine and oil and flour that comes together with the sacrifice, and it's not in the book of Vayikra. It says all the sacrifices, and it doesn't talk over there about the wine and the oil. Later on in Parshas Shlach, or in somewhere in Bamidbar, it says when you come into the land, you have to bring all of those together with each sacrifice. You have to bring a certain amounts of wine and oil and flour. So here we're saying that a non-Jew doesn't bring that wine, oil, and flour. Now, does it mean that he never brings it? Or does it mean that if he brought a sacrifice already, he doesn't add it on later? So that's different ways of learning, and Rashi, different kirsayos here. Probably the word aleihen maybe would make that difference. However, his sacrifice does require nesachim, and that would be brought from the community. Divrei Reb Shimon, Minani Mili. How do we know this? The Temurah Banan, it was taught in a Bais. Ezrach, it says in the pasuk Ezrach. This is the pasuk where it discusses. You have it on the side over there. This is the pasuk that discusses bringing the nesachim. It's in Parsha Shlach, I think. Kol Ezrach Yisrael. Yasekacha, right? Yeah, should do such. Ezrach mevi nesachim. Bein avid kechav mevi nesachim. Ezrach means the citizen, but the non-Jew doesn't. Yachal like te'elasitu nesachim. Maybe that means that his sacrifice doesn't require nesachim.
In Hebrew today, Ezra could be a little bit dicey.
What does it mean today?
If it's simply just a resident,
then it could be a non-Jew as well.
I mean, today it's more specific.
It's like the
How do they
Seminole
translate?
Indians.
In Israel,
natives.
they're called Ezrachim.
Oh, so Ezrach means
Ezrach
native.
Means citizen.
A citizen. So if you're a citizen and you vote and pay taxes, you're an Ezra.
No,
Uh-huh.
but the Gemara was talking
Or-
about
or-
In
natives.
Eretz Yisrael, the Arabs are Ezrachim.
Uh-huh.
Technically.
And you're supposed to.
Yeah. But I'm saying, but there, I think the Torah is referring to Ezra as only Bnei Israel.
Yeah. What's this chavav? No. Okay. So maybe their sacrifice doesn't require nesachim at all. Tamulem kacha. Pasuk says such that it does require. Okay.
Meaning such as in any. Meaning any Nesachim doesn't make a difference.
Is that the pshat?
Kacha is the extra. It says every Ezra has to bring it. Why does it have to add kacha? Kacha means regardless of how it was brought, you need it. It's on the oila, not on the bringer, according to this.
Right, the way it's put over here, that kacha means that it's ma'akiv. Such means that you have to do it. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi says, Rayani b'kol lahachmer. I see all of them are l'chumra, which means all of these things require, have the law, same law as a Jew. That there's pigul and nicer and tamei and there's nesachim. My taima la Hashem ksivbei. It says kodesh la Hashem. No, I'm sorry, it's not supposed to say that. It says la Hashem. Ish mibnei Yisrael Yaakov karbanai. It says la Hashem that they have the same halachas as everyone else. If it's a sacrifice to God, it's the same. Okay, now we go on. The next section of the Brisa. When do we say that there's that these laws that a non-Jewish sacrifice is different than a Jewish sacrifice. That's only if it's a sacrifice, something that's designated to the altar. Aval kachi bedek Bais, but something that's given to the temple, not to the altar, just to the temple fund. Ma'ilam b'em, there is me'ilah. Me'ilah means that if someone has personal benefit from it, he has to bring a sacrifice. You can't take something that belongs to the temple and use it for your own personal use. My timer, what's the reason for this? What did we say before? That we learned from Truma that Me'ilah only applies to a Jew. Why? Because it says Chet by Truma, and that we know applies only to a Jew. The taking of the grain and giving it to the Kohen is only the Jewish grain that belongs to a Jew, and the Jew separates it. So we know from there, we learned from Truma to Me'ilah, because it says by Me'ilah Chet and it says by Truma Chet. So, Dumya de Truma. If that's the comparison, now let's compare it to Truma. Truma is the Kaddish Kedush Saguf. The Truma itself is sanctified. Aval Kedushas Bedek Bais, the Kedushas Damim Lai. But the Kedushas Bedek Bais, something that's given to the temple, doesn't have the intrinsic holiness that Truma has. Why? Because you redeem it, and then you use, really what you're giving to the temple is just the value. How do you give the value? Well, you give any item that has value, and then the temple would sell it and use that money for the temple upkeep. But Truma is different. Truma is intrinsically holy. You can't redeem the Truma. The Truma becomes holy. That's exactly like a sacrifice. The object becomes holy. If that's the case, then the whole comparison is only by something that's intrinsically holy. The object is holy, not something that just has a holiness to the value. Okay. We start a new piece of Gemara.
What if the tumor rots?
Tell me again.
What if the tumor rots?
Oh, what if it rots? I'm not sure if you have to. I think it's considered the value of the money of the Kayan, and the Kayan lost his money went bad. You know, his produce went bad. You can sell truma. That's true. You're talking about selling truma.
No.
You can sell truma, but you don't have a big market.
I know. I'm saying just eat it quickly before it's rotten.
Oh, okay. This new Gemara is a very famous Gemara. The rule of it is very, very famous, but all the details of it are very complex. So the general concept you probably are familiar with. It goes like this: Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav. We had Rav Yehuda yesterday for sure, and we're going to quote him again today. But here's Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Rav Yehuda is the founder of the yeshiva in Pumbedisa. He when Rav passed away, he went to study by Shmuel, and then after that he made his own yeshiva in Pumbedisa. Because Nardai was attacked, I think, and it was destroyed. So everyone left Nardai. Shmuel was in Nardai, Rav was in Surah. So Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Kol Laisa say, it's supposed to be Shabbat Torah. Every negative prohibition in the Torah, thou shalt not, right? Asa b'maisa, if a person committed the crime, committed the act, the Torah says thou shalt not, and he did it, so chayev. See, chayev is going to be chayev malchus. Lo yasa b'maisa, but if he didn't do an act, then he's pater, and he's exempt. Uklalahu, the Gemara asks, is that a rule? The lav shein b'maisa pater? That a lav, a negative prohibition that doesn't have an act, that you don't do something to commit the crime, right? Isn't this what the students say? They come into the class, they say, teacher, would you punish me for something that I didn't do? They say, no, of course not. They say, well, I didn't do my homework. Right? So, if there's no act, is there a punishment for that crime? That's what we're saying over here. No, there is no punishment. There is no punishment. The Gemara says there's no punishment for that. V'rei meimar. What about Temurah? Well, how does someone do Temurah? He says that this animal here should be in place of that animal. Did he do an act? No, he just spoke. the lav shein by Maisa, who there's no action. Velaki, and there's still malchus. There's a punishment for someone to say that, even though there's no act. It's a kasha and Rav Yudah Marav. Ditnan, how do you know that there's malchus? It says in our Mishnah. Leishur Shaila Hamer, our Mishnah says you're not allowed to do Temurah. Elishim Hamer Mumar v'Seifik Asar. What we mean to say is that you're able to do Temurah. Anyone is able to do Temurah. Not that he's allowed to, he's able to. And if he does it, he gets lashes. Seifik is absorbs. Amalach Rav. So Rav will answer to you, Hamani Rabbi Yehudi. We're following the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And our Mishnah that says that there's lashes for Temurah, that's the Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. The Amar Lav Shem by Maisa Leiken Alav. Rabbi Yehuda has this unique opinion that even if someone does a sin, does not do his homework, right,
gets lashes.
He still gets malchus. So that's a unique opinion, and that's how our Mishnah is going to fit.
Excuse me, so
Yeah.
Temurah always means you're trading good for good? Because otherwise, what are we
Just
talking
different
about?
level.
What if he's trading good for bad?
And
That's
then,
the whole idea.
how
Why
would that
should he
change?
get lashes? We're saying here is get lashes, right?
Yeah.
It's implying there's something wrong.
Right.
So
You're never allowed
it-
to change a sacrifice for another, whether it's good for good
and
or
if
good
it's
for
gone
bad.
if it's gone bad, developed a blemish. He
Oh.
wants to bring something good. That's not called
Just make
Temurah.
another
No,
one,
you
but
can't.
don't
You
exchange
can't
it.
do it. You don't exchange it like that.
Bring another one still.
Bring another one, but I thought that was called Temurah also.
No.
It's not that you get it back. It's that you're exchanging what's going to be sacrificed.
Right.
That was not what I thought. Maybe I thought wrong.
Temurah
No.
was that
Apparently, there's a concern that someone may, if we can read into what the Torah is saying, that someone may exchange a good animal for a bad animal. So the
Right.
Torah says you can't exchange anything. No, not good for bad, not bad for good, nothing. You can't do any exchanges.
you can make a new condition.
So the Gemara now says,
Okay, thank
okay,
you.
so according to Rabbi Yehuda, there is lashes for
Not
for no Maisa, which would mean that there's lashes for Temurah as well. And our Mishnah would be Rabbi Yehuda. The only problem is, what did we learn yesterday? Can you say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda? Our whole Gemara yesterday, the whole basis, this introduction was, our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Like Rabbi Yehuda. We said that the Reisha doesn't go like Rabbi Yehuda. The Ktani Hakol Mimirin. Everyone can do Temurah. And we said Hakol Lasu Yemai, when you say everyone, and then you say men and women. So who is left out? Or who are you trying to include? So we said Lasu Yeirish, we're coming to include someone that inherited. And we said that was only according to Rabbi Meir, that someone that inherits can do Temurah. But it doesn't go like Rabbi Yehuda. Uda like Rabbi Yehuda. So we're saying Rabbi Yehuda is Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eily, right? This is Rabbi Akiva's student, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eily. So we said that our Mishnah, yesterday we learned the Mishnah doesn't go like Rabbi Yehuda because we had a diuk in the Mishnah. It says Hakal, it's coming to include that an inheritor could do Temurah, is able to do Temurah from one animal to another. Now we're saying that there's lashes. The Mishnah said that there's lashes if someone does that. Who holds that there's lashes on Temurah? We said it's Rabbi Yehuda. 1 second. Yesterday you said the Mishnah is not Rabbi Yehuda. Now you're saying the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. It says, Haitana Savala Kavase Bechada, the Lav Shem by Maisa like in the love, Upalakala Bechada. We hold Dila Rabbi Yehuda Sav Yerush in a Seimach, Yerush in a Meimer, Tanidan Sav Yerush Seimach, Yerush Meimer. This is like you go rabbi hopping. You choose which rabbi, which one you want. We said we went like Rabbi Yehuda yesterday. We disagreed with Rabbi Yehuda yesterday, saying that an inheritor cannot do Temurah. Today we're saying that we're going like Rabbi Yehuda, that someone that does Temurah gets lashes. Just because we have one opinion of Rabbi Yehuda doesn't mean we have to accept all of his opinions.
Well, we even had before where one Rav holds only partial,
Right. Right.
agreement and not
Right.
with the rest. What's
Right. Right. Now we have a new statement, slightly different than Rav Yudah Amarav. This is Amar Rav Idi Baravin, Amar Rav Amram, Amar Rav Yitzchak, Amar Rav Yechanan. Mishum Rav Yosi HaGlili. On the side I have that missed something missing over here. It's supposed to say Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Mishum Rabbi Yosi Eily. Isn't that interesting? So it's again. Okay. Okay. In the name of Rabbi Yosi Eily. We don't have a seder.
Which was actually.
So what the Gemara tells us is that when Rabbi taught the Mishnayos, there was no order to which Masechta. In each Masechta he taught it in order, but which Masechta ain't seder the Mishnah. It's hard to know which one was first. And the relevance of that is when it comes to halacha, because if you have a machlekes before and then a statement, an anonymous statement afterwards, then you follow the anonymous statement because
Because I mean, Marcos. I mean, they established very clearly.
This Gemara is in Marcos.
Yeah, I know. That's
right.
what, so they're arguing was already established, but that's why I'm asking which came first or second.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a
Give
problem.
him
This is too much knowledge. Okay, so in the name of Rabbi Yosi Eily, look. If you look at this carefully, you'll see that there's a nuance. Kol Laisa Sei Shebatayra, every Laisa Sei in the Torah. Asa ba, what's the chafal? Asa Maisa, take out the plate. If you did an action like it, Layasa by Maisa, maybe take it out again. Layasa Maisa is pater, you're exempt. Okay, sounds very similar to what we just said. The only difference is that chutz mi nishba umeimer umakal chaver b'shem. But there's three exceptions, and that is that if someone swears falsely, if someone does Temurah, and if someone curses his friend with Hashem's name, so all of those, there's lashes, even though there was no action. There's an exception over here.
Because that is the action. It's like saying Shema.
We'll see. If that's the case, then we don't have to say it's an exception. Let's see. Afal Pishla Yasa Maisa is chayiv. Even though there's no action, he's still chayiv. Mishum Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Chanina Amro, in the name of Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Chanina, they said, Afa Maktim Truma Lebikurim. If someone takes his Truma out of order, he does Truma before Bikurim. Bikurim is supposed to be first. Bikurim is the first fruit, that's supposed to be brought first. If someone does his Truma first, there's Malchus for that as well. Now, apparently, you could do Truma without an action by just designating in your mind or with your words where the Truma is. You don't have to actually do an action of separating. We have a case, according to Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Chanina, of no action and there's still Malchus. Now we're going to go through each one, but we start with Nishba, someone that swears falsely. Nishba minalan, where do we know that there's Malchus for someone that swears falsely? Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Reb Meir. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Reb Meir, whenever it says Mishum, it means that he didn't actually hear it from him. That's the word Mishum. Mishum means in the name of, from.
Me didn't hear it directly.
He didn't hear it directly.
From another source.
Right.
Like in media.
What's significant? The significance is, let's say, for example, before it said Amar Rabbi Barav and Amar Rabba Amar Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We know that each one is a student from the next one. Amar is they're all students. They heard it directly. If it says Mishum, it means that it's not a student directly. They just quoting something that he said. Amar Krach
So Moshe Chaim learned it from Rabbi Jew, and you learned it from Rabbi Moshe.
Exactly. Amar Krach, the pasuk says, Kila Yanaka Hashem will not forgive. Someone that carries his name in vain. What does it mean? Hashem will not forgive. Bezdin Shalmaila, atone. Bezdin Shalmaila, the heaven. Ein Menachem Eisai. The heavenly court doesn't forgive him. Abel Bezdin Shalmata, but the lower court, Malkin Eisai gives Malchus and Menachem Eisai, and cleanses him. Menachem means to cleanse. Forgive, to cleanse. It means that Malchus is a cleansing. So, what does that mean? Kila Yanaka Hashem. Hashem doesn't forgive, but the Bezdin Shalmata does. It goes like this. Amalei Rav Papa Labaya. Rav Papa's a student of Abaya. He's a student of Rava. Rav Papa here is Rav and Abaya. He's one generation down. So he says, maybe it means that there's no atonement at all. How do you know it means that there's no atonement from Hashem? Just say there's no atonement. Hashem lamalei. You have to read this correctly. Why does it have to say in the pasuk Hashem? Bezdin shel mailu dein menachem yavel bezdin shel mata malkin menachem. And what it means is that the heavenly court there's no punishment, right? So therefore there's no punishment, there's no atonement. But the lower court, bezdin shel mata, there is malchus, and then he's cleansed. So if the bezdin will do something, will punish him, then he'll get cleansed.
So he should hope for Malchus.
Should hope for Malchus, yeah. That way he'll get cleansed. Yeah. You know the reinstitution of the Sanhedrin by
Rabbi Steinsaltz? The recent one?
No, the early one by the Mari Beirav of the Smicha, based on the Rambam. The Rambam says that if all the Chacham Yisrael get together, they did that because the people that came out of Spain had converted to Christianity. And there's a punishment of kares. If there would be a bezdin, they'd be able to give them malchus, and they're exempt from. If the Gemara says that if someone that gets malchus at his kares, he gets it off. So that was part of the motivation to get that going. Was to,
it says in Sanhedrin that if once you like do a desire, after a while they should kill you before you start doing more, and that'll be like your atonement, and you won't have to do it again. Is that the same thing here?
Well, if they kill you, you definitely won't do it again.
No, but it's like that's your punishment.